I mean, what do you say to fans that say, well, they're just running it back? How is that good enough? They haven't won a championship in so long. What do you say to them?
I think we have a club capable of competing for the American League East, a very tough American League East. But again, it's February 2nd. And
but what Bubbles doesn't get is that New York is a 24-hour, 365 baseball town, Aaron Baboon. And when you talk about people saying playing up or playing down to your competition, and the Toronto Blue Jays owned you this year and it's different every year, you know what's not different? The Boone Swoon. Every single June that you have coached this team has gone from 8 games in first place, 8 games above 500, to 2 games below 500 and in second place. So, Aaron Baboon, my question to you is, you think the Yankees are going to do well, but are you going to do well?
It's New York minutes.
Ready to go to the airport. Aaron, how you doing, man?
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing great. How do you feel about this team? Nice, easy question to start off.
I feel really good. We're excited. Obviously we've got a lot of people that, I felt so very good about at the end of last season. So I've kind of said out loud a lot that, it was one of my most difficult seasons to get over. The end was tough because I do feel like we were kind of peaking at the right time. We were healthy at the right time. I felt like we had a team that could go get it done, and to get bounced. Blue Jays, who were kind of our kryptonite last year, was difficult. But
this is the reason that shouldn't be an excuse for Aaron Baboon, Bubbles, Buffoon, because you should have figured it out. If a team owns you in the division, that doesn't fall on the players. That falls on management. Either the Blue Jays were picking up on your signals, either they knew what was coming, and they figured it out. I don't think your kryptonite last year was the Blue Jays per se, Baboon. I think it was Don Mattingly who outcoached you in every single game while he was on the staff of the Blue Jays. And that's what I'm scared about, is that Aaron Boone thinks that everyone's going to take the next step. The question is, are you going to take the next step to become a good manager, Aaron Baboon? Because I am sick of the Boone Swoon June, and that's where you hit a rough spot every year. It's not like a rare occurrence. If something happens over and over and you're expecting different results, that's called insanity, or that's just an Aaron Baboon Bubbles-led New York Yankees in 2026.
It was a tough series against the Red Sox, and then you lost against the Blue Jays. So what do you think went wrong, Aaron, in that postseason?
Look, I think it was a case of a series playing a really good team that caught us. We had a hard time. We gave up a ton of runs in that series. They kind of just had our number and beat us. I mean, simple as that. But I felt like the moves that we made, at the All-Star, at the trading deadline, really kind of finished up.
What did I say on this show ad nauseum? They are going to push down the trade deadline moves that they made down your throat as much as possible. The mission statement is out for the New York Yankees. Aaron Baboon and Brian Cashman, are lockstep in their mission statement for the New York Yankees, and it's irritating, and it's gaslighting.
Off our roster in a really strong way, because I think for the first half of the season, while we were good, I felt like we needed to do some things that kind of finished off and complemented our roster, and I felt like we were able to do that, and just felt like we were in a really good place there at the end of the season, and for it to not happen, is one of those things that makes it difficult to get over.
You know what? The Yankees had to go out and get about 8 or 9 different players. But, the moves that they made last year weren't that great. Bednar worked out. Duval, jury is still out, and they expect him to be the 7th or 8th inning guy. Jonathan Loizaga not being healthy all year last year definitely killed these guys, and that's why they had to go out and get so many players. But Ryan McMahon, for $18 million or $16 million, whatever he makes, he's a defensive replacement after the 7th inning. And then you go get Rosario, who has always been a platoon guy. He's been on about 7 different teams. He's not that guy.
Now, one of the big differences for the 2026 team from last year is that you're going to have one of the great right-handed pitchers of this era, Garrett Cole, back. And, we're looking maybe at June 1st. I'm not sure.
I'm starting to get a little worried about Garrett Cole. He's been out for a long time. I know there is no reason to rush him back. But the question to you guys, let me know in the comments below, what version of Garrett Cole are we going to get back? How many guys in their mid-30s bounce back from Tommy John surgery and give you a good 5 years remaining on his contract, and he's the highest paid Yankee next to Aaron Judge on the team? So everyone keeps going, oh, we got Garrett Cole coming back. But what kind of Garrett Cole are we going to get? Yes, he's been a dominant pitcher. He has won a Cy Young for the Yankees. Still no rings. The Boston Red Sox own him. So is Garrett Cole even the ace of this staff anymore? We're now coming back from Tommy John. Is he the 2nd or 3rd starter on this team? Let me know in the comments below. Let's go back to Bubbles Baboon. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Helps me out a lot.
Is there any trepidation on your part, Aaron? Are you getting back vintage Cole? Do you have any idea? Can you even establish that? Or you just cross your fingers because he's coming back from a serious surgery?
Sure. I mean, tough to say. I mean, the one thing we've seen over the last, decades is, most guys do pretty well in coming back from Tommy John. I will say that, Garrett's rehab has gone well. It's gone according to plan. He's hit all his benchmarks and then some. So we're very optimistic. And then you couple that with, Garrett's greatness and really he's known nothing other than being, an ace in the league. So,
and if it's anybody that can change their approach on the bump, I would give credit to Garrett Cole because the guy is a student of the game. He works on his craft nonstop. So you start to see guys like that at the end of their career. It happened to Andy Pettitte, happened to Jamie Moyer, happens to a lot of guys. They need to take some relish off that hot dog and put movement on their pitches. You even saw that from CC Sabathia at the end of his career, who still got effective wins and still didn't have the heater.
There may be some bumps as he's coming back and getting built up and, getting back to full strength, and that may happen over time. We'll see. It's impossible to predict that. All I know is, the rehab process itself has gone pretty well for Garrett.
We, Jack Curry and I had on Matt Blake, your pitching coach, on the Hot Stove Show on Yes. And
real quick, talking about Tommy John, no one really talks about how Jason Dominguez had Tommy John surgery. It takes about a year to come back from that, even if they rushed him ahead, and that's why he was only good from one side of the plate last year, is possibly because of that Tommy John. Now that he has a whole year back, maybe he'll hit better from the right side of the plate because of the Tommy John surgery.
And, he admitted that there are some guys with heavy innings workloads last year. Are you going to handle those guys differently?
Hopefully that's something that is a good thing in that it's given them a benchmark of having, as a guy coming back from injury, pitched 0 innings or 30 innings in a prior year.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're asking them to go pitch 150, 180. Those are the ones that you get a little concerned about sometimes. Look, it's not an exact science, obviously. So, I do feel like we've, the front office has done a really good job of creating some depth, and hopefully over time, Carlos Rodón being down the first, few weeks of the season, hopefully is something that serves him well in the long haul. That does limit that.
And you know what? Max Fried and Carlos Rodón ran out of gas at the end of the year. I said it right here on this show, New York Minute, Instagram, YouTube, that these guys needed a week off. But since the Toronto Blue Jays came out of nowhere and started being in first place in the AL East, the Yankees didn't have that luxury. If they kept on their win trajectory before the Boone Swoon, they could have locked up first place and been 8 games ahead and give Carlos Rodón a missed start. Give Max Fried a missed start. Max Fried also pitched in the All-Star game. That's another added start that you don't need. So these guys had a major workload, but now you're going to have 10 to 11 starting pitchers to fluctuate in between to manage the innings. And if it's one thing that I believe in the New York Yankees in, it's managing innings for starting pitchers and not burning guys out. They're very good at it. Matt Blake is excellent.
Innings a little bit. And I think with some of the depth that we've built up, hopefully not only create some competition, but also, put us in a position to withhandle, whatever's going to come as the season unfolds from a pitching standpoint.
One of the great bright spots for you, Aaron, last year was Cam Schlittler when he came up. I mean, he was dominant. He was dominant in that game, that ultra high pressurized game against the Red Sox. How do you think his stuff plays out over hopefully 32 starts?
Yeah, I'm excited. And hopefully it is 32 starts. Look,
I would say with Cam Schlittler, cautious optimism, okay? We've seen this game before. We've seen the Joba Chamberlains of the world. We've seen the Phil Hughes of the world. They come up. We think it's going to be a foregone conclusion every year that this guy is a stud. I'm not taking anything away from Cam Schlittler. I was in the building against the performance against the Red Sox. The best, okay? I've been to 386 Yankee games. I've been to about 60 playoff games. Best pitching performance I've seen, period, stop by a Yankee pitcher in person. So I hope he can build on this. But guess what? With the way that Brian Cashman has set this team up, with the arms that we have, with Yarborough being the 10th or 11th starter on this team, and now Weathers, who is a guy, a diamond in the rough, the Yankees are going to have a very good, formidable starting pitching, even with guys out in the beginning of the season. Remember, the Yankees bridge the gap with Cookie Carrasco and Marcus, I have a head tattoo, and make $18.8 million a year Stroman.
Yeah, a ton of our guys are down there, and a lot of it has to do with Aaron being there.
Let's talk about your bullpen. You mentioned, I thought Brian had an excellent trade deadline last year, and you changed the bullpen on the fly. So there's no Devin Williams, there's no Luke Weaver, but Bednar closed out the season very well. Do you feel that this bullpen could be a strength for this team?
I think it could be. I think there are questions. We were excited about how Camilo Duvall finished the season with us.
The question is, are the Yankees going to bring up the young arms to load out the bullpen? Because I think it's addition by subtraction with getting low-lev Dev out of here. Luke Weaver, it ran its course. He was tipping his pitches at the end of the year. He was getting shelled. I don't want them back. But Duvall, that's a big jump for him, okay? And the Yankees are always good at striking gold with their bullpen. It doesn't seem who they put in there. They do an excellent job. And guess what? Their luck ran out last year. But I have full confidence in the New York Yankees being better at their bullpen. I don't know who's going to come in. Maybe they know guys that are in AAA, AA, that can come up that are flamethrowers and they can convert into bullpen guys. But I would like to know the names, and that's why I keep saying like a madman, this spring training is going to be one of the most crucial spring trainings you've ever witnessed as a Yankee fan, and I'm going to be covering it all right here on New York Minute.
I thought he was throwing the ball really well towards the end of the year and into the playoffs, and he's another one of those guys that's had a really good winter. Obviously, what Fernando Cruz was for us last year, Timmy Hill, and what he continues to be. And then we're really excited about, like, the Brent Hendricks of the world.
Tim, King of the Hill. From AutoZone. Can't wait to watch Tim Hill do his thing. Best reliever we had last year.
The Yeri De Los Santos that we know are going to play a good role. The Blackburn, Yarborough, and what they can bring in different kind of roles down there. And then hopefully with some of the depth that we've acquired or have in the mix, that eventually you're in a position to where maybe someone that's pitching well out of the rotation has to kind of collapse in the pen and gives you another weapon in that regard. And then we have,
just like Phil Hughes in 2009, starting pitcher, moved him to middle relief at the end of the year, helped the Yankees win the ring.
We feel like we have, 3 or 4, prospects that are.
So he could be insinuating that lighter will be moved into a bullpen role. Maybe also kind of like the Knicks bench in the beginning of the year. They have so much talent around. They're going to go to spring training. They're going to do the first 2 months of the season. The pieces will fall. People will rise to the top, and they're going to know who are the guys. But like he just said, Yarborough, Blackburn, Weathers, all three of those guys, middle relief, spot starts, bullpen. You're going to have a very flexible pitching rotation from the New York Yankees this year.
Really at the higher levels that are knocking on the door that have a chance to not only impact us potentially from a rotation standpoint, but maybe in their first crack at it, maybe in a relief situation at some point of the year. So I like our depth. You're always that depth, is always going to be tested and found out about. So hopefully we have a couple of guys that merge into some real leverage spots for us in the bullpen. So I think there's some unknowns down there, but we're excited about too.
Any concern, Aaron, that your team is too left-handed? Now, I will say this, of your left-handed batters, they were fourth last year in OPS plus against left-handed pitching, fourth in all of baseball.
Yeah. So
they can handle left-handed pitching, but you like to balance your lineup. Are they too left-handed?
I always.
Yes. Say the answer, Aaron. Let's hear this political answer from Aaron. Let's see Aaron jump over wires like Catherine Zeta-Jones. Shall we?
I always want another righty, which a few years ago we were saying it the other way. We were too right-handed and we needed some lefties. So, obviously bringing Rosario back early in the off season, was a little bit under the radar, but I know for me personally was something that was very important for me. I just feel like
what I don't understand is you bring back Rosario. Okay, listen, I am not sold on Rosario. It seems like Bubbles is very high on him. But when you have Suarez, who was on the Seattle Mariners last year, 49 home runs, right-handed hitter, third baseman, which the Yankees have been looking for forever, signed with the Cincinnati Reds for $15 million. The Yankees couldn't go out and do that? I don't care what his defense is like. He's a right-handed power bat. That's what the Yankees exactly need. But this is the cheapo Hal Yankees that won't go out and get a luxury piece like this. Oh, we signed Rosario for 2.5. We can't go out and get another guy. It's ridiculous. Ryan McMahon should not be the starting third baseman of the New York Yankees. This should have never happened. They got him out of desperation last year, and now they're stuck with him. The guy hit 20 home runs. He plays at Coors Field.
He fits our roster and balances us so well, and hopefully, plays up just because he's going to be in some situations where we're netting him some really good left-handed matchups throughout the year. I still think there's a possibility that we bring somebody in that kind of from a utility standpoint that adds to the mix, whether that's in the infield, outfield, having Caballero now for a full year. So I do feel like we have some really good right-handed options that are either start.
Yeah, but what I'm afraid about is just once again, the New York Yankees are going to have this musical chairs of a rotation. They're going to have musical chairs of a lineup. No one's knowing where they're going to be in the batting order every single day. It's going to be a new guy in the order every single day. It's going to be a guy playing after somebody hits 2 home runs. Jason Dominguez hits 2 home runs. They're going to play some other dude. I think this is going to be one of the biggest problems and the biggest frustrations of Yankees fans this year is the revolving door at third base, shortstop, second base, outfield. There's going to be just this rotation of guys. I know it's the new kind of baseball, but man, I think baseball players play much better when they know exactly what they're doing in the beginning of the week.
Or part-timers that have a chance to play really significant roles, especially because we are very left-handed.
Obviously, I'm not going to belabor this interview by saying how important it was to bring back Bellinger, but by bringing back Bellinger and then with Grisham accepting the qualifying offer, your outfield is set. So, Aaron, does that turn Jason Dominguez into a Scranton Wilkes-Barre player?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I would say the same way I started. It's February 2nd. Like, I think Jason, for all the talk last year, gained a lot of really good experience last year. He had 430 plate appearances. He did a lot of things really well. He continues to improve defensively. I think he's going to be a really good player in this league. And, a lot can happen between now and opening day.
So read between the leaves. Aaron Boone is not going to say this guy's in AAA because it's going to drop his stock. He just built his stock up saying, I think this guy's going to be a really good player in the league. I think he had 390-plus at-bats. That's Aaron Boone letting other teams know that this guy's solid and that we all think he's solid because a lot can happen between now and spring training. He just said it. So is Aaron Boone insinuating that Jason Dominguez is going to be on the move? Let me know in the comments below.
So you never know how it all shakes out, but I still have very high hopes for Jason coming off of what was a productive 22-year-old season for him really getting his first crack at full-time, in the big leagues.
And Jason, by the way, is part of that picture as well at the hockey game last night. I want to know, because you're so good at communicating with your players.
That's awesome.
Have you, in fact, called up Jason and laid out what could happen with him, or is that going to be a conversation you have once you get down there?
I have not spoken to him since we brought back Belly or whatever. So, we'll get down there and competition's always a good thing. And, hopefully having a lot of really good players and options brings out the best in a lot of different people. And then you let the chips fall where they may.
Looks like Ben Rice is your first baseman. He had such a good year last year, and the underlying numbers are actually better than the numbers that we saw, which were excellent as well. Is he your everyday first baseman, or would you feel more comfortable if you had a righty that could play first base every now and then?
No, I expect him. Benny to be the everyday first baseman.
There you go. That's a big story. Ben Rice, everyday first baseman. So if they get Paul Goldschmidt, that means he's going to be the every fourth day whenever Ben Rice needs a break. But Ben Rice is a major cog in this lineup, and he will probably be the protection this year for Aaron Judge. It's going to be unbelievable to see. This is why I was texting Ben Rice's name to my group chat at 3 a.m. in the morning 2 years ago. Ben Rice.
We think he's going to be, a premier slugger in the middle of the lineup in this league. I think he started to show that last year. We think he has the ability to handle left-handed pitching. That doesn't mean he won't get a day off here and there against a lefty, depending on what exactly your roster looks like. We'll keep them catching in the mix to some degree.
And you know what? If you bring Paul Goldschmidt, who ran out of gas last year, and he only plays in 82 games, maybe you can keep Paul Goldschmidt fresh and have that every fourth day player, because if you noticed, he hit 460 in the beginning of the year, and then he fell off a cliff. So just like the Bartolo Colon rule that I say, let him sit out for a couple of months and then come and play, and he'll be nice and rested. Because if you have a Paul Goldschmidt that has energy in his legs, that's a very, very good player to have. When you have Paul Goldschmidt last year, who ran out of gas, he's dead weight.
But right now I see him as, that third catcher to where he just kind of protects you late in the game. If you make a move that, he kind of has that ability to cover, but we have him focusing a lot on first base right now with the idea that, he's going to be that guy in the.
Yeah. And Ben Rice didn't get a full spring training. Remember, he had to come to the stadium every day. All right, you're a DH. All right, you're playing first base. All right, you're behind the plate. That's tough for a young player, especially a guy with a lot of weight on his shoulders, because Ben Rice got thrust into this position and he thrived. Ben Thrice, remember? 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. Was that the game? Do you remember?
Middle of the order that we're counting on big things from Ben Rice.
It's so weird the way baseball happens. Aaron, you've lived it your whole life, but when Austin Wells came up, he was supposed to be a great offensive player, struggled defensively. He's been a revelation defensively, but he really struggled offensively. Although if you look at his numbers, it's not as bad as we think. Can he
21 and 70 is not bad for catchers nowadays.
be better offensively, or is this the level that he's found?
Yeah, I expect him to be better because, look, I think if you saw your catcher and he's hitting 20 homers a year and And like you said, providing the defense that he has, I think he kind of signed up for that. That being said, I'm still expecting a lot more out of Austin, and I've talked to him about this.
I think Austin Wells is going to have a comeback year. That's what I'm putting on. That's my prediction for this year. Austin Wells is going to have a turnaround year. I know I am going to eat my words, but I'm saying it right here.
Like I've said, I look, you're in what you've shown. You've had some success offensively at the big league level, but hopefully finding that next level of consistency where he can be that real offensive threat that I think he's capable of being, and hopefully, he starts to realize that potential this year.
Ryan McMahon was startling how good he was defensively, but he did struggle offensively. Aaron, is there more there offensively with your third baseman?
I think there is. He's a great athlete, real power.
He was playing in Coors Field, okay? It's easy to hit home runs over there. They're probably going to say he's left-handed. We'll probably think that he's going to get 5 or 6 more home runs, so that brings him up to 26 home runs. The guy hit .225 last year, couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. The reason that the Yankees have him is because of his Gold Glove level defense at third base, which it is. And you have to remember that the Yankees have left-handed pitching. They're pretty heavy in left-handed pitching, and the ball goes to third base a lot. Remember the Oswaldo Carrera last year? I don't even remember. Oswaldo Peraza. Remember that? The guy went 0 for 98.
Our real ability to control the zone. We got to cut down on some of the swing and miss. He's made some adjustments this offseason, with kind of narrowing his stance and approach a little bit that hopefully unlock him a little bit. He's another guy that I feel like was in a pretty good place at the very end of the year. And you look at his at-bats in the playoffs, I thought they were really good and really competitive, even against some tough lefties. I'm hoping there's more in there, because I think the talent is very real, but he's also, struggled to find that next level of kind of all-star level consistency, and hopefully we can unlock some of that.
Let's talk Volpe. You've always been on his side. And, if you look at his season, it's kind of odd. Like, before he hurt his shoulder, it looked like the hitter everybody expected him to be when he was coming out of the minors. Then he hurt his shoulder, and we don't know how much the shoulder affected what he did. Is there more there? Is there more there offensively, Aaron?
Oh, I similar to Austin. These are two guys that we feel like have a chance to be really good offensive players in this league. So
they treated Anthony Volpe like a rented mule last year with a torn labrum in his shoulder. Does that affect playing baseball? Mike, have you ever picked up a golf club? Have you ever played a sport? A torn labrum, wiping your nose is excruciating pain, let alone throwing a ball from shortstop to first base. This kid toughed it out. Yes, they need to have comeback seasons right now. Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe need to have significant seasons. But maybe Anthony Volpe is only a 140-game player. Maybe he's only a 125-game player. And now with Caballero there, they can split time and they can alleviate workloads off this guy. Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe were brought up a year ahead of schedule because Brian Cashman didn't fill out this roster. Remember that. Every time you get on those guys' case this year, and I'm one of them, don't get me wrong, but just remember, Brian Cashman did not set up the lineup and set up the roster enough where they had to push Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe ahead of schedule.
What do you say to fans that say, well, they're just running it back? How is that good enough? They haven't won a championship in so long. What do you say to them?
Well, I think we're better because the people that we added that weren't with our team the whole year last year are key parts of this club that I think make us a lot better. But it's no guarantees. Like, this is a prove it game, prove it sport. And the reality is we got to go out there and, and look, at the end of the year, whether you win 95 games, 100 games, you're always going to pick parts of the schedule out that didn't go your way, or you didn't play your best against, and it seems like every year it's different. Last year, obviously, is the Blue Jays. Other years, I hear we play down to our competition. We didn't beat the bad teams enough, or you didn't beat the good team. You win 100 games. I know what happens is you lose a lot of games too. So I think we have a club capable of competing for the American League East, a very tough American League East. But again, it's February 2nd, and we have a long way to go to prove that we're that caliber team. And this is a new year, and we have to go prove that all over again.
Yeah, but what Bubbles doesn't get is that New York is a 24-hour, 365 baseball town, Aaron Baboon. And when you talk about people saying playing up or playing down to your competition, and the Toronto Blue Jays owned you this year and it's different every year, you know what's not different? The Boone Swoon. Every single June that you have coached this team has gone from 8 games in first place, 8 games above 500, to 2 games below 500 and in second place. So, Aaron Baboon, my question to you is, you think the Yankees are going to do well, but are you going to do well? The New York Yankees, I heard from this interview with Michael Kay, is a lot of question marks. A lot of guys taking the next step. A lot of guys turning their last season around. A lot of guys replicating career years like Max Fried and Carlos Rodón. This is why this spring training is going to be the most competitive, the most salacious, and the most wild spring training you've ever seen as a Yankee fan. Competition, third base. Competition, shortstop. Competition, fourth outfielder. Competition, backup catcher. Competition, backup first baseman. And competition, 6th and 7th inning in the bullpen. So, guys, get ready. It's New York sports for New York Nuts. And remember, if you can't be good, be bad, baby. Good night, Canada. Bye.